Hey guys, this is going to be a tutorial on the artistic side of creating terrain before we go over the technical side. I'm going to show you how to create a few images that will be used as stamps that will then take into Mudbox and create the terrain. So the first thing, I'll just quickly talk about these. I'm going to use this as a stamp. This was an image that was taken from a website that specialized in cartography, which is the making of maps. I'm going to share that website with you so that you can use any of these. All of these are links to different types of terrain or topography. So you'll decide what kind of terrain you want, and you can find an image that will represent that. This is just a good, I think, image to try to create some mountains. This is another way of creating the stamps. This is going to be used as an erosion stamp. This was just a photo that I found online. I typed in rock erosion or something like that and looked in the images. So this one is pretty much done for us because it's already black and white. You can, increase the contrast if you wanted. I just saved this as a targa, and in the dirt erosion, the desert erosion that I have, I'm going to make it grayscale, and I'm going to definitely change the levels a little bit because I just think it's really light right now. So I'll darken up some of those darks because, again, it's erosion, so I want it to be harder, Bring up those brights, increase the contrast a little bit, and then I will also save this as a targa. So that's the easy way of just creating a couple stamps, either with a photo or getting it offline. There are also other ways to be able to create your own terrain in programs such as World Machine is a good terrain generator. World Machine is a program where you can create these little blocks of terrain. I'll just have you take a quick look at it. Again, this is something we'll go into later, but let's understand the basics first before we move on to more advanced mechanics. So find a stamp, find a photo, make a stamp out of it. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to make a new file, and we're going to make it 512. This is, again, for a technical reason that we'll go into later. But for right now, let's just keep it simple. Let's make it a 512. And you could leave it white if you wanted. I personally like to change my color to 50% black. I mean, well, 50% gray, 50% black, whatever. Because that will start me in the middle. The same way that bumps or specks work, height maps, white would be the highest and black would be the lowest. So I like starting with a middle gray. I'm going to set up my guides. I keep about an inch on each side to block off the player. So let's say we're going to have mountains. my mountains would be on within this little, it's a little hard to see my guides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Edit, Preferences, Guides, Grid, and Slices, and we'll change that color to, red. Doesn't really matter. We'll just pick red for right now. You still can't really see that, so let's change that again. Oh, it's because I changed my grid line. So change your guidelines. We'll change it to pink, purple. So now we can see that. So my mountains are going to go, I want to border this off from my mountains so that this will be my playable space, my playable area, and then I know that I'm going to have room to at least, block off the player from running off the world. So the next thing I'll do is I'll pick a color that's lighter, a lighter gray, and again, let's make sure it's actually gray. Let's pick maybe 20%. It's a little high. Let's do 25. And I'll just make a quick, maybe I want it to come out a little bit. Usually you're gonna, I need to make a new layer. Usually a designer is gonna do this part. They will let you know where the playable space is and how big they need it to be before you actually do this part. So this will be my playable area. Let's open that up a little bit, go in there. And let's say I want a lake of some sort over here. And again, we'll talk about the technical aspect of it so that we can get our sizing a little bit closer than kind of just guessing as we are now. But I just want you to see how it works. So we'll make a little lake over here. And I'm going to make a plateau, let's say 25 is a mountain and 50 is your starting point. Let's make it 42. So I'll have a plateau that kind of overlooks my lake. Right, so that's kind of the base of my height map. I actually should have put it on different layers, so I'm going to take my plateau, I'm going to cut it, paste it in that plateau, TE, and then take my lake. If you, right now I'm Control X to cut, Control Shift V will put it back in the same exact spot I took it out of. We'll name that lake. So for my mountains, what I'm going to do is I want to blur them, because right now there's a hard edge, which means when we import it into Mudbox, it's going to go straight up. But I kind of want it to ramp up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a blur on my mountains, kind of a big blur. That should be good. I want my plateau to go straight up, and I'll fix that in Mudbox. And then in my lake, I want to give that a small blur also because I'm going to have the erosion on the walls of that. So I'll make it a little less of a blur. So now I have my basic height map, and I'm going to save this as height map, and I'm going to save that as a targa. So now we have the first few steps of just creating the basic height map. Again, you're going to want to decide, where is your model going to be. You want to make sure that places like this you can run through. You want to just have a basic layout for right now. You want to, again, you need to block off the player somehow, whether this would be buildings. If you wanted a city, then instead of mountains it would be, again, you would need to have buildings on the sides, and then you could just build the middle. And I usually put everything on separate layers. You could also have, roads if you wanted to, and set them up, just take a box. And again, you're not going to want it too much higher, so let's say 48, and then you can make your roads. Again, you're going to want them, right now we're not thinking about size, I'm just talking about the concept first, but you can do any sort of terrain that you want to do. So those are the basics. You want to get your stamps ready, and you want to get your height map ready. And I'll move on to the next part.